So, you know when you get something and you can't believe that you haven't had this thing your entire life? That's exactly how I feel about this tent, so let's talk about it. So I'm a beginner camper. I really don't spend too much money on tents and all this extra gear. I just bought a ground tent and I called it a day. But there's a few downsides to having a ground tent, especially where I live. There's a lot of critters and things that you don't want to be too close to. I had seen this type of tent floating around on the internet, but I never really gave into the idea. I wasn't too sure how it would work out. Let me tell you, I have been missing out. With all that being said, let's get into the unboxing. So you get a box with the company's name on it and a little truck logo on the back. I will say, it would have been cooler to have a Toyota Tundra, but we'll make do. Inside, you get this super nice tent bag. I've bought a bunch of ground tents, and this by far has the best bag. When I first opened it, I was like, there's no way this entire tent is going back into this bag. The bag is big enough for you not to know what you're doing and be able to put everything back in there, which is super, super convenient. These straps are money. I'm pretty sure this is what allows the bag to be so big, but once you tighten it down, allows it to be compact. If you know anything about camping or any hobby, you don't want to have a bunch of mess once you're done, and making this bag as small as possible with these straps is so good. Enough chitter chatter about the bag, let's see what's inside. A tent. You get a tent inside the bag. You also get the poles for the frame of the tent. Also, you get a cover for when it rains. In Virginia, it can be beautiful, sunny, and then it's pouring. I like to play it safe and put this on at all times just to make sure that we don't have any accidents. My first impressions were very, very high. This tent is not priced crazy high. It is super affordable compared to what you find in Walmart, Amazon, whatever. I've spent 2 to 3 times as much on a regular tent, and this meets that same level of quality. Now that we have it out the box, out the bag, now it's time to actually do the setup. Spoiler alert. It is extremely fast to set up. The first time I set this up was at night. I couldn't see what I was doing, and I was still able to set this up under 10 minutes. This time, I was recording, showing how everything goes, and I still did it faster than the first time. You get 4 different poles. One of them I didn't use just because I felt like I didn't need it, but you get 3 poles that you need to use. 2 of them are the same, and then you get one that is a little bit longer. They are color coded, so remember, keep an eye out for that. Now let's set up the tent. The setup is simple. There's a million different ways to do it, but this is the way I go about it. I go ahead and lie it flat on the ground. You're gonna wanna find these green sleeves on the top and get the 2 poles that are the same length, and you're gonna run them through there. Once you get them through there, there's a little pouch that catches the end of the poles. Put them in there, and quickly enough, you're gonna start seeing the form of the tent. Lastly, you have that longer one. That's gonna go up front, and again, you're just gonna wanna find that little sleeve, put it through there, and you'll be a-okay. Again, it's super easy, super simple. You'll have no problems. Now we get to the fun part. This for sure would be easier with 2 people. Easier, but not necessary. So this tent is one size fits all. What I mean by that is it can work on a Ford, it can work on a Chevy, it can work on a Ram. So there's not a perfect way that it's going to sit in your truck. It's going to fit good, but not perfect. So what I do is I just try to scoot it all the way back and have it lined up as good as I can, and then it's time to tie it down. So the tie downs are super simple. I have found that you don't need to do it extremely tight, and just hand tight is good enough. You're just gonna wanna find somewhere for these clips to clip on. And since it's a truck bed, there's a million places for it to tie down. All right, now for the pros and cons. I will say this has more pros than cons, but I just want to be honest with you. Starting off with my biggest thing is you're off the ground. At least where I go camp, there are a lot of critters. A lot. Raccoons, possums, snakes. I don't know about you, but I like to sleep without them. And being off the ground gives me a lot more peace of mind and makes me sleep more comfortable. Secondly, I'm not entirely sure why this is. I think it's because you're in a truck and the suspension has something to do with it, but it feels a lot more comfortable, softer. It feels like you can sleep better, not sleeping on the hard ground. Number 3, I may be wrong about. I believe this is a 2-person tent. The other 2-person tents on the market do not offer nearly as much space as this one does. I can stand up completely, no problem, and still have a little bit more space above me. I am around 5'9", 5'10". That is an absolute treat. You know, if you're in a ground tent, it's cold, it's hot, you wanna get ready and get out as fast as you can. And sitting there crouched over, trying to get dressed, and if there's someone else in there, it is not comfortable. This made it so much more comfortable. If you can't tell already, I could go on about the pros all day long, but I'm gonna stop there. It is a very good tent. But I do want to talk about some cons, so let's talk about that. All things have pros and cons. The cons to this one, I think are kind of short, but something I want to address. So first and foremost, if you have no experience with a truck top tent, truck bed tent, you get what I'm saying. I personally stuffed the bed of my truck, like completely stuffed. I got to camp and well, all the stuff that I had in my bed now had to go out of my bed. And that's not the funnest thing when there's a bunch of pollen around. So what I recommend is one, either packing very light, or two, getting an extra tent for all your stuff. Not like a ground tent, but something just to cover, just to provide a little bit of shade if you have a cooler, whatever the case may be. But do not pack your whole house into the bed of your truck, because then it has to sit out, and if there's rain, that's not fun. Secondly, this is my camping vehicle, and I know I probably shouldn't care, but I care. The paint. If you are not careful, you can ding up the paint pretty quick. And what I mean about that is when I'm pulling it up onto the truck, if you're doing it by yourself, the little clips, they can sling and they can dent or scratch your paint. And lastly, when you're tightening the stuff down, don't tighten it too hard, because if you tighten it too hard where there's paint, you might start rubbing off the paint, and we don't want that. To all of the cons, I found solutions, which are: 1, don't pack so much. 2, don't swing the tent like it's a piñata. And 3, just don't tighten down the clamps too hard. So my overall experience with this tent is 10 out of 10. Me personally, I got into camping and it wasn't something that me and my family did. And this tent allowed me to get my dad to go and sleep outside. Thank you. My dad slept in it one night, my sister slept in it another night, and then I've slept in it a couple times. It's so good. The comfort you get knowing that you're not with the snakes and the raccoons is top tier. So this summer, if you have a truck and you're looking to get into camping, I definitely recommend giving this a try. If you guys are interested in this tent, I'm actually getting a 10% discount code that I'm giving to you guys. I'll leave it linked in the description. I believe it's 10JT and then my name, AING. Aing, so 10JT Aing. Use that before you purchase it. I'll leave a link and the discount code. Pick it up. It's starting to get nice out, and this is the perfect time to get out and get camping. I'll see you guys in the next one.